Alright, welcome back. This morning I was going for a walk and I was listening to the Dirtfish Portugal preview podcast. And amongst other things, they were talking about who would be driving the Rally 1 cars in 2030, or whatever the top category ends up being. They managed to quite effectively avoid the questions, giving only a vague answer. But I thought, well, I've got a day free, I've got nothing to lose, so I'll answer the questions. And therefore, welcome to my 2030 WRC Driver Predictions. Starting off, a few key points. I'm going to predict 3 drivers per team because I don't know where to start with who would be full-time and who would be part-time, because I couldn't even do that for next season yet. I'm going to be predicting 4 teams, the current Ford, Toyota and Hyundai, assuming they're all still there, plus an extra team, which it's looking likely we will have by 2030, hopefully, as long as we don't lose one of our current ones. Whether this team is Lancia, Subaru, Volkswagen, Citroen, Skoda or someone else. First I'm going to have a look at the current drivers and see how old they are when they drive over the ramp on the 98th Monte Carlo Rally in January 2030. Hyundai already have a fairly old driver lineup, and if for some reason they still had the same driver lineup, Neuville's going to be 41, Tanak 42, Lappi 39, Mickelson 40 and Sordo 46. So the first 4 of those are realistic. Sordo's he's already wanting to retire. Well, not wanting, but he was going to a couple of years ago. He probably will at the end of this year, I think. But the other 4, they could still be there. You know, it's very common for rally drivers to still be driving into their 40s. Well, Loeb won the Monte Carlo Rally a couple of years ago, and he was 47. So it doesn't really mean anything. Going to Ford's driver lineup now, Munster will be 31 in 2030. And Formeau is going to be 34 in January 2030. Toyota, Kalarov and Perry are going to be 29, not even 30. Shows how young he is. OJ's going to be 46, Elvin Evans 41, and Takamoto Katsuta 36. Now on to what I think the driver lineup will look like in 2030. This is just a bit of fun, just looking at the youngsters and the current drivers that might still be around and who I think might make it. And we'll see in 6 years whether I got any right. So, Hyundai. I'm going to start with Emil Lindholm, who at this point will be 34, the 2022 WRC2 champion and still a strong force in Rally 2. Also currently a Hyundai development driver, a program we haven't heard a huge amount from since it was announced. But as far as I can see, it's still a thing. And I think this will eventually lead to a WRC drive, a Rally 1 drive. And as long as he holds on to it until 2030, he should still be there. Next, I think Adrien Formeau will be at Hyundai. He'll be 34 as well by this point. Currently making waves at Ford after a year out of Rally 1. He seems to have made a huge amount of progress on his year in the British Championship. Currently 3rd in the World Championship. Something that I hope he manages to hold on to until the end of the year. And as long as he keeps improving like this for the next couple of years, he most likely will be around until at least 2030. The next driver, quite a lot less known than the other drivers, but still quite well known, Rupi Korhonen, last year's WRC3 champion, who is currently leading the Finnish Championship, which in my opinion is the most competitive national championship there is around the world. He also came 4th in WRC2 in Sweden earlier this year. He's another driver who's making amazing progress in his rallying career, and someone we will be seeing a lot more from in the coming years. Now on to Ford. I'm going with Esa-Pekka Lappi. He'll be 39, so realistic. He's made a career of just being, he's good, very reliable, which is good. He's won 2 rallies, one of which was this year, and he just plods along. He just gets there. And I think he'll keep doing that. Not for Hyundai anymore, but Ford, a experienced driver in their lineup, which they can use sometimes. He's one of the 4 drivers on the current lineup I've chosen to be still in Rally 1 in 2030. The other 2 of those being Thierry Neuville and Adrian Fourmeau and Kalle Rovanperä, 2 of which we'll get onto in a minute. Next, Max McRae, who will be 25 by this point, the son of Alistair, nephew of Colin, and grandson of Jimmy McRae. He has a lot to live up to, but I think he will. Max is currently competing in the ERC4 and ERC Junior categories, doing very well in both the classes, leading one of them and second in the other one. And yeah, same with all the other young drivers. If he keeps making the progress that he's making now, he will go somewhere. Next, Oliver Solberg, possibly the biggest talent in Rally 2 at the moment. He has already had a chance in Rally 1, showing enough speed at times, but making far too many mistakes to keep a seat. Over the past 2 years in WRC 2, he has showed very good consistency and phenomenal raw pace. Still got a few mistakes here and there, but he's certainly far more mature driver and consistent driver than he was even a year ago, but 2 years ago when he was in a Rally 1 car. And I think he'll get a chance in Rally 1 very soon, whether it's next year or maybe the year after, but I think it'll be next year. And as long as he does alright, he'll hold on to that until 2030. Now Toyota. Starting with Sami Pajari, the 2021 WRC3 champion, now regular in WRC2, getting a win and 4 podiums in the category last season. He is one of the fastest improving drivers in Rally at the moment, who will be given a chance in top machinery before too long, something I expect him to hold until at least 2030. Next driver, another one, along with Max McRae, another one that's a bit harder to predict. Mille Johansson, 24, he'll be 24 by 2030, Swedish youngster, one of the up-and-comers in the WRC. He's currently second in both the WRC3 and the Junior WRC Championship, and also first in the ERC Junior and ERC4 Championship. So he's doing a pretty good job at clean sweeping all the junior categories around. As long as he keeps these results up, there'll be much more from him in the coming years, and maybe a Rally 1 drive, but we'll see. Now, the third driver for Toyota, Thierry Neuville. He'll be 41 by Monte Carlo 2030. I think Thierry will win a championship or 2 with Hyundai and then move on to a new challenge. He's been at Hyundai for over a decade now, and he really wants to win a championship, especially with them. But I think once he's done 1 or 2, maybe 1, 2, depending on who else is around, he'll then go off, see what else he can do, maybe get paid a bit more. If he's still in the WRC by this point, he will have the record for the most WRC starts and could possibly have the record for the most points and for the most podiums of anyone. So that's something to watch out for in 5.5 years. Now onto the new team. 3 drivers once again. Starting with a big name, Kalle Rovanperä. Currently a 2-time champion, and in 5.5 years he is very likely to have many more titles than that, making him invaluable to a new manufacturer. And by 2030 he still could have over 10 years left in his driving career, making him an experienced choice for a new manufacturer, getting them set up in the sport, but also a good long-term choice for a manufacturer getting set up. So I think he would be a no-brainer for a new team in the next couple of years, as long as they've got the money. The next driver, Nikolai Gryzin, currently a Citroen in Rally 2. He's very good on tarmac and pretty good on gravel. He's similar to Ollie Solberg, has amazing raw pace but still just a little bit rough around the edges. But if he manages to smooth these edges out, he could be a very good tarmac specialist at least, and maybe an all-rounder, therefore earning him a top seat. For that spot, I was sort of umming and ahhing between him or Johan Rossell, but Johan Rossell is a bit older, so I think he was going to be 36, 35 by 2030. So he's a bit older, and I thought Gryzin, he's almost as fast, he's getting the experience that Rossell already has, and I think he is more realistic to be in a seat at 2030. Whether Rossell gets one before then, possibly. The last driver for the new team, and for all the teams, is Taylor Gill, who will be by this point 26, one of the FIA Rally Star drivers currently in the Junior WRC. His first year in Europe, so it seems to be paying off for him. He came second in the Junior WRC class in Croatia, and as an Australian, I hope he has a very long and illustrious career. So slightly biased on the last prediction, but watch it turn out. And after all that, I will see you in just under 6 years to see if any of those were actually right. Bye.